Hello and welcome to or welcome back to the Embracing 30 podcast. I'm your host, Caroline, and I hope you're all well today. If you're new to the podcast, we talk about pretty much everything on here, but this is mainly just self-help, all about going into your 30s, why it's not the worst decade ever, why it's not something to be ashamed of or scared of, and just really showing you that you can live your best life at any given moment. Not really got much of a life update today. The sun was absolutely beautiful last week. So I just turned into a massive alcoholic and didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to do any housework. I didn't want to do anything that was productive. I just wanted to enjoy the sunshine because I knew that it wouldn't last. And lo and behold, it is now flooded. There was an absolute torrential downpour last night and the streets were flooded. Like, it literally looked like we were at the beach and it was the seaside. Being productive, back to pouring my heart and soul back into this. So today, what we're going to speak about is something a little bit controversial, which is why I think your 30s are better than your 20s. And this is totally based on my experience, so other people might not have the same experience as me. But if you are worried about going into your 30s or you're in your late 20s and you are dreading being 30, I'm going to give you some reasons that I found that I think make your 30s better than your 20s. I think everybody has the perception that when you go into your 30s, your life is over, especially if you've not got your shit together. Like, if you are single, maybe you still live at home, maybe you don't like your job, like you don't feel like you have anything that you should have had by the age of 30, it doesn't mean that your life's over and that you're a failure or anything like that. It just means that it's not in your timeline yet. It's not where you're supposed to be. And it's totally okay to still be figuring things out when you're 30 and beyond. But I'm going to give you some things that I think are reasons why you should be excited to go into your 30s or why you should be enjoying your 30s more than you maybe are already. So, starting off strong, number one is you know yourself better than you ever have before. And what I mean by that is this is the longest amount of time you spent with yourself. Like, every day you're learning about yourself more. So you know yourself more now than you ever have done. And sometimes you might get lost and you might not know what you want or what you think or what you like or what you dislike. But overall, we know ourselves better when we're 30 because we spent so much time with ourselves. I think you have a great understanding of your likes and dislikes, and that can be in any aspect. So I'm talking about from the smallest things to the biggest things you can think of. So, like, you know exactly what you want from a relationship, you know what you expect from your friendships, you know what you want from your job, you understand what your values are and what shared values you'd like to have with people in your life. You have an understanding, or you know what goals you want to achieve in life. You maybe understand or you know what job that you want to go for, and even if you're not there yet, like, you know what it is that you want. But it can even be small things like you know what your favorite drink to order at a bar is, or you know what your favorite dish is, you know how to unwind if you're feeling stressed, you know what clothes you feel comfortable in, and you know what clothes make you feel confident. Maybe you've got a signature lip combo that you love. You know what your favorite movies are, you know what your comfort films are, you know what your comfort programs are. All of these little things are ways that you know yourself better than you ever have done before. If you've had a stressful or a shit day at work, you know that coming home and having a bubble bath and watching Friends is going to make you feel better. Or if you've had a shit day, that you know you're going to go out for a run after work because getting your body moving and getting out of your head and into your body is what makes you feel better. And you know these little things about yourself, which I think makes your life feel so much easier when you know how to regulate yourself, how to look after yourself, how to make yourself feel good in your own skin. And I think that's a massive thing, to be able to rely on yourself for that. You're not looking to other people to try and make you feel better. You're not looking to other people to give you that reassurance that what you're wearing is attractive, what you're wearing looks good on you, because you know in yourself, I look good in this. I feel best when I run. I feel best when my house is tidy and I've got a candle lit. The first thing that I can think of is why your 30s are better than your 20s, is that you just know yourself inside out. The second point is you are basically 20, but you have adult money. So hopefully, this is the position I'm in, so hopefully you are making more money than you ever have done. That might not be the case. I'm not saying that's the case for everyone, but hopefully you've progressed through your career, or you've got into a career where you're earning a decent salary and it's the most amount of money that you've ever made. But you are still young, you're still hot, you're still fit, you can still go out and do things. You just have more money to do it and you have more money to enjoy. And I was actually speaking to my friend about this when we went out for breakfast yesterday, that see, because of COVID, I don't even feel like I'm 30. I feel like I'm like 25 or 26. And she was saying the same thing, that she also feels like she's still in her 20s because those 4 years where COVID happened basically just don't exist. And we didn't get the time to go through those parts of our 20s. So in my head, I'm actually 26 and still live my life like a 26-year-old. Like that, like I know that I'm 30, but like I'm 30-year-old in a 25-year-old's body sort of thing. But because I am 30, I do have like a grown-up job or an adult job. So it's given me more money and more freedom to do the things that I enjoy. When I was in my early 20s, I was earning nothing, like absolute shit money. I remember when I was 16, now I know that's going back before your 20s, but when I was 16, I used to earn £800 a month. And I thought I was bawling until I got to 18 and had my daughter. And then I realized that I literally made nothing, like no money. Like I think when I had my daughter, my salary after like all my taxes and everything was about £1,080 a month. And bear in mind, like I had a home, I had a daughter, like all of that. So most of my 20s was spent being fucking skint. Like most of my 20s, I had no fucking money. And people obviously have different experiences and I've went through different things at different time periods, but I was a mum at 18, so I had more responsibility. Like I found it that I had a pressure to put a roof over my daughter's head, to put food in her belly, clothes on her back, like all of that sort of stuff. But even when you're just doing that in your 20s for yourself is a lot. It's a lot, especially when you're on shit wages. And when you're in your early 20s, you might still be at uni or you might be working part-time to support your studies or whatever. Especially at the start of your 20s, like I used to save up for whatever money I could and book the cheapest, nastiest holiday that I could go on. There was one that I went on when I was 18 and I think it cost me £180 for the week, and it was in Cavos, and I've never ever stayed in a hotel like it. Like the shower didn't even have a thing on the wall to put it in. You had to hose yourself down with the shower. The bedroom lights didn't work. There was no air conditioning. It was like 35 degrees. The beds were horrible and scratchy, and it was literally like a wooden bed frame in the room with like a broken fridge. It was awful. But I literally was like, I want to go on holiday. I want to be in the sunshine. So that is what I did. And I literally used to go out and get they would do the stupid, like breakfast, like not breakfast, lunch and dinner, the starter, main and dessert for like €9. And I was like, yep, I'm going to eat that. That's what's going to fill me up because I don't have money to go out and have a nice meal. I only have money to buy the cheapest, nastiest food to get me through this holiday. But now, because I'm in my 30s, but I feel like I'm still in my 20s, I can afford to go and spend money on nicer holidays and stay in nicer places and be able to give myself nicer experiences because I've got more money to do so. Now, when you're in your 30s, you obviously probably still have a lot more responsibilities as well. So things like, you know, I've got a mortgage, I've got a car to pay for. Unfortunately, I've got fucking debt. But because I've got more money and I'm better at managing it as well, which is something that I've learned throughout my 20s, I have more money to do things that are fun and enjoyable. Like I can go and book myself a holiday and I don't need to pay for like I don't need to book like the cheapest option that there is. I can splash out on a nicer hotel or even like getting a nicer flight, you know, not the ones that's going arriving at 2 o'clock in the morning, like get the ones that's earlier that's more expensive, because I can afford to do that because I've got the adult job. I've got adult money. But I can still live like I'm 20, like it's still Euro summer, baby, like I'm still going on holidays and living my best life. I'm just doing it with more money in the bank. Number 3, you know what your boundaries are. I feel like in your 20s, it really, really pushes you to learn what your boundaries are and how to put them in place. That goes in all aspects. It's not even just in romantic relationships, it's in friendships, in family relationships, even with work colleagues or with your manager or anything like that. A lot of people will see a young, naive, especially a woman, a young, naive woman or girl, however old you are. I suppose you're a woman when you're 18, but so a young, naive woman and think that they can take advantage of her because she's young and she's stupid and she doesn't know how to say no. And like I definitely did that. Like I used to always work like extra hours because I was like, oh, I need to look like I'm keen and I'm eager to be here and I want this job. Whereas like it's not a requirement. Like that's not required of me to do that. But I used to do it all the time. And because I was under 18, they couldn't even pay me overtime. So I didn't even get paid extra for it, which is so fucked up now I think about it. And I also think like when it comes to relationships, I don't know a single person that hasn't been, a single woman, should I say, that hasn't been cheated on emotionally, verbally, or physically abused by a partner by the time they're 30. So going through that when you're younger is fucking awful, but it puts in place and solidifies, like, I'm never going to let that happen to me again. I was in a very abusive relationship when I was younger, and I mean, like, everything you could think of. It was like manipulation tactics, physical abuse, like verbal abuse, like controlling behavior. I had no contact with my family. I basically had no friends. I wasn't allowed to go out and do things without his say so, all that kind of stuff. And I would never in my wildest dreams let a man tell me what to do these days. Like, you best believe, like, I'm going to do what I want to do. You can like it or lump it. And I have those boundaries in place because I went through such a shit time. And I'm not saying that you need to go through the shit to be able to put those boundaries in place, but it really fucking helps, because once you are out of that situation, you're like, well, I'm never going to let that happen to me again. Like, I am never going to put myself in that situation ever again. And when you see those little red flags pop up in other relationships, if you're dating someone or you may be in a new relationship, you knock it on the head and say, no, I'm not dealing with that. I'm not tolerating that behaviour. No, you will not tell me what I'm going to wear. You will not tell me this. You will not blah, 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 blah. But it's not even just in romantic relationships. It's with friendships and family members as well. Being able to put those boundaries in place and say, no, I'm not comfortable with that. Or I don't want to do that. Whatever. I've got a whole episode on setting boundaries. If you want to listen to that, then you can do so. But it goes for all different types of relationships. I will not bend over backwards for anyone these days. If I don't want to do it, like, I'm not going to do it. I am not going to go out and people please to make myself feel worse. I'm not going to do things that make me uncomfortable just so that you feel comfortable. And I am only like that now because I went through my 20s and learned along the way on what I will and will not tolerate in any given relationship in my life. And I am now safe and secure in myself that I don't actually need anyone to survive. I don't need anyone in my life to look after me. Yeah, of course, I'm not saying that I don't want to have friends and family and I don't want to find a partner, but what I'm saying is I don't need somebody to validate my feelings, to be there to support me, because I can do that myself. Having boundaries is massive, and it stops you from being walked all over. It stops you from being a doormat, and it lets you live the life that you want to lead without feeling like you're having to shrink yourself down or say yes to things you don't want to do, or letting people overstep their boundaries with you. Number 4 is probably my favourite one, which is you care less about what others think of you. As I've gotten older, I've started to realise that I care more about how my life feels to myself than how it appears to other people. I used to, when I was in my early 20s, go out drinking all the time. Like, I wanted to be the fun friend that went out every fucking Friday and Saturday. And I wanted to be the last one standing. Like, I had to be the last person to leave the after party. I had to be the first one drinking. I had to be the one that got all the shots in and all that sort of stuff, because I wanted to be seen as the fun girl and the outgoing girl. And I wanted people to accept me and like me, but I wanted them to like me for this persona that I was putting on. I wanted them to like me because they thought I was the party girl and thought I was so much fun and the life and soul of the party. But as I've gotten older, like, I've realised that doing that every weekend literally made me feel like shit. It ruined, I'm being dramatic here, but I felt like it ruined my life. All I did all week was feel so crap. I would feel hungover, tired. I didn't want to work out. I wanted to eat crap. And all I wanted to do was get to Friday so I could go out at the weekend again. And that's fun. And I know that, like, that's what your 20s and your, like, teenage years are for. But there comes to a point when you're like, well, actually, this is not doing what I wanted to do. Like, I know that I feel better when I get up in the morning and I journal and I read my book, and then I have a coffee and I go for a walk, or I go for a run, or I go to a hot Pilates class, or I go to do hot yoga, or I go out for breakfast with my friend, and then I spend time outdoors, and I like having an early night and being in bed by 9 o'clock and just relaxing. And that's like the way I want to live my life. And right now, I don't care what other people's opinions are of that. I don't care if other people agree with me. I don't care if people think I'm weird. I don't care if people disagree with anything that I do. If people say that I'm boring, which I've had, like, jog on you go. Like, if that's what you think of me, that's great. And that's what I mean about I don't care what people think of me. But it's not even just that. It comes to things such as like what I'm going to wear as well. Like, some things that I wear, people might think that it's a bit risque or it's a bit much or whatever. I couldn't care less. You're not the one wearing it. I'm the one wearing it. And I think it's really freeing to get to that point in your life when you don't care about what other people think of you, and you do just live your life like authentically for yourself. And that's something that I've learned going into my 30s, is that nobody actually gives a shit about you. Like, everyone's too focused on their own shit to care about you. And if they do care about you, then they need to get a life, pretty much. But that's for them to deal with, not for you to deal with. Like, you are most of the time just a fleeting thought or a passing thought in somebody else's life. Like, nobody actually cares about you because people only care about themselves. Number 5 is that your friendships get deeper. And I mean this in the best way possible. I think a lot of our friendships when we're in our teens and our early 20s are very surface level, or they're based off of not having something in common, but you have like friends that you'll go out to drink with, or you'll have friends that you go shopping with, or you'll have friends that you'll go for coffee with. But you don't have, or me myself, I didn't have many relationships, as in friendships, that were deep and meaningful and felt like I could have like deep, meaningful conversations. I've met a couple of girls over the past 2 to 3 years, and I'm not even joking, they're literally like my soulmates. I can speak to them about anything and everything, and they will literally never judge me. Like, they will be there no matter what is going on. Like, I can go there and cry my fucking eyes out, and they are going to be there to support me. And I think going into your 30s as well, like, all of your life problems get bigger. I'm not saying that to be like, oh my god, like everything gets shit in your 30s. I'm not saying that. But things such as like money worries, me and my friends, we've got houses to pay for and we've got to keep a roof over our heads. So like money worries is something that you need to be able to confide in your friends with. Relationship problems, again, like if you've got a relationship but you've got like kids involved or you have a house together, it's not as simple as just breaking up with your boyfriend like it is in your early 20s. There's other things to consider, and having friends that you can have those conversations with who are going to give you advice and support you and be there with you every step of the way. Also, like, unfortunately, death becomes much more evident the older you get. It starts to actually crop up in your life, and you or people close to you are going to start losing family members or friends. And that brings you so much closer to people, because it's one of the hardest things for you to go through. And having people around you that are going to support you through grief is so, so important. And I think that helps build on your relationships and helps build on your friendships as well, because it's something that is very hard, and it can make people feel quite vulnerable to open up about things like that. So having close friends that you can do that with is amazing. And I feel like I've definitely got a group of girls around me who I can go to with any problem, any issue, and they're always going to be there with like open arms to support me. The last one I can think of is when you're in your 30s, you realize that nobody has their fucking shit together. When we are younger, so I'm talking like maybe a teenager or a child, you look at 30-year-olds and think they've got their life together, and society gives us this expectation of when we're 30 we should be married and we should have kids and we should have a house and a car and a stable job and we should be planning for retirement and all this kind of crap. But see, when you get to 30, everyone I fucking speak to has no fucking idea what they're doing. Everyone is just muddling through the best that they can, and everyone's in a different situation as well. So like, I have my own house, which I'm very, very grateful and thankful for, but I'm also single, so I'm by myself. I've got an almost 12-year-old who I'm raising by myself, which is great. She's like my best friend, love her to bits. But like, other people are, they might not own their own home, they might rent, they might be in a relationship, they might have a 5-bedroom mortgaged house and have big fancy cars and whatever, but they could be up to their eyeballs in debt. And I think that's the thing as well, is like, you should never compare yourself to anyone else at any stage in life, but especially when you go into your 30s, because everyone is at such different stages. Somebody could have spent the last 10 years in a relationship and just broken up with them, and they're having to start all over again from scratch. Shit happens. But did you get over a relationship you weren't happy in? Yes. So it's a win. It's a win. And you're always going to pick yourself back up. It's quite a freeing thought to realise that nobody's got their shit together. And I think even people that look like they've got their shit together don't have their shit together. They're just better at hiding it. I read a really interesting fact the other day. So for the first time in history, over 50% of women over the age of 30 don't have any kids in the UK. And as you know, I am a mother. But I fucking love that, because we're at a stage in society, and I'm not saying everywhere in the world, okay, I'm just basing this on the UK. We're at a stage where we do not rely on men anymore to get a nice house, to have a nice car, to be able to afford holidays, for security, financial security. We don't have any of that. We can do it all on our own, and probably fucking better on our own, to be honest with you. I can't think of anything worse than fucking babysitting a grown man. Like, it actually makes me feel sick to my stomach, the thought of having to look after a grown man, as well as my daughter, as well as myself. Imagine coming home to some crusty, dusty man. You've both been at work all day, but you're the one that's expected to make dinner. You're the one that's expected to put your kids to bed. You're the one that's expected to do all the household cleaning. Like, I'm expected to do all of that, but that's fine because I'm by myself. And I know that it's on me. It's all on me. The worst thing is, or the worst situation, well, I don't even know if that's a word. Okay, a situation which would be worse would be that you have a partner and you're still expected to do all of that. Like, what do you mean you are a grown man and you don't know how to put on the washing machine? You're a fucking liar. It's weaponized incompetence. That's what it is. You are telling me you don't know how to use the washing machine. I had to fucking teach myself. I had to teach myself how to use the washing machine, so you fucking do it. Sorry, I'm getting so angry about that. But yeah, I absolutely love that, because it shows that women are literally putting themselves first. They're putting their careers first. They're putting their health and their happiness first before succumbing to some dusty, crusty, shitty man. And it is fucking rough on the streets out there. Like, I'm not going to lie. Why don't you embrace being by yourself? Why don't you embrace being single in your 30s? Because you're still fucking hot. You've got money. You've got potentially a house. You have everything going for you. And just embrace it and fucking enjoy it. If you are single in your 30s, then go and fucking enjoy yourself. And I had this conversation with my friend a few days ago, and we were just talking about like, oh, like trying to find someone again in your 30s. But it's like, I think the thing is that you think you need to jump into a relationship with someone. Like, you can literally date someone for months and not be in an official relationship without having all the social ties to it, without having the pressure of a relationship, without having the pressure of, oh, we need to see each other this many times a week. Or, do you know what I mean? Like, you can literally just date someone for months and just enjoy their fucking company once or twice a week, and then go your separate ways and continue on with your life. Sounds like a win in my books. But to top it all off, like, turning 30 isn't scary. Like, I genuinely think that this is the happiest I've been in my life up till this point. And that I've been through different periods of my life where I thought that I was happy, but genuinely being 30, being single, being independent is literally the happiest I've ever been in my life. And you shouldn't fear turning 30. You shouldn't be scared about turning 30, because I swear to God, it is so good. And I am building a life that I am truly in love with. And I think that's such a flex to be able to say that. To be able to say that you're living a life that you truly love is so, so good. Like, you don't understand how lucky you are to be able to have that. I hope that those points have made you realise that turning 30 is not as scary as you might think it is. And it's only up from here, guys. Like, it's only going to get better. If you really sink your teeth into being 30, like, the possibilities are endless and the world is your oyster. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, then please like, share, subscribe, or send it to a friend. I would really, really appreciate it. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Bye.